Good evening and welcome to Angel's Haven. I wanted to have a portable or Bluetooth microphone set up before I made another video. And I wanted to have my real camera working before I made another video. But none of those things happened. I also wanted to make another video catching you up on my life. And I'm still going to do that. And I'm still going to do a very fun video involving hats. See the hats up there. But that video will have to wait because I've had an interesting development in the functionality of my little dining area. So I'm going to do a video about that. And the reason I'm doing that before I get the microphone working and get my camera back in order is that I can't wait because I'm changing up the way my little dining area is. And I got the supplies for it today. And I'm essentially an impatient person, so I'm going to record the process of making these changes and do all that other wonderful stuff later. Get my microphone. I did get a microphone. I do have new batteries for my camera coming so that I can use my camera to record videos, I hope. But I want to do this tonight, and I want to record the process, so all that other stuff is going to have to wait. So, I'm going to start working on it and show you what I'm doing. So, what you're seeing here is the beautiful live edge drop-down table that Sheldon Vogt built for me. And flanking it, or behind it, I guess, is the fold-down bench that Derek Campbell made for me. Now, this is a beautiful table. There's no question about it. And the bench is really nice. The bench is made from original wood from the Holmes house, my house in Kansas City. There was a bunch of leftover wood in the basement from the original build of the house, and I used some of it to make a playroom in the basement, and then I saved some of it, and there's some of it here in the house. Let's show you. Oh, here. The loft rails. There's one of the loft rails, and both loft rails are that original wood. So here's the thing. My house is kind of a mess right now, so if you occasionally get glimpses of it, please forgive me. I'm in the middle of sorting out. My son brought me some clothes that were mine and were at his house in Chicago, and I'm going through them to see if they can all be donated, which I think they can. And I'm doing some other sorting. So it's a little messy right now, but as I said in the introduction, I can't wait for this. So here's the problem with this table. There are 3 or 4 problems. The first problem is that it protrudes out over the bottom step. And that was not a big deal when the upstairs was my writing room. But a couple of years ago, gosh, 4 now, 3.5, I flipped the script, as it were, and the upstairs is my bedroom. So when I come downstairs in the morning, because of my neurological dysfunction, I'm a little unsteady. Stairs are not particularly difficult for me, but coming down poses a balance challenge. So not having that bottom step to use is kind of an issue. Another problem, which Oh, you're seeing the beginning of the solution here. There's a sneak peek at the next phase. Another problem is that the legs, which are it's a drop-down, fold-down leg, is a little bit spindly. I could have asked either Sheldon or Derek, the carpenter that lived here for a couple of years, to make a different set of legs, but I never have. Another problem is I think it's 18 inches wide, which makes it a little difficult to seat two at it because it's narrow. It looks wider than it is. Actually, I think it's 20 inches wide. So it's just a little clumsy, and I can't seat more than two at it, really. So I've been looking for a long time for a solution. I originally wanted the table to be to go in the other orientation. Instead of parallel with the wall, I wanted it to go perpendicular to the wall. I don't know why that didn't happen. I guess in part because the window got put there, but the window could have been moved over. If there had been... I got outvoted by the carpenter who built the house. Sheldon put the table, designed the table to be where the carpenter that built the house decided it should be, and it wasn't where I wanted it. I wanted it either attached to the wall and drop down across the room, or I wanted it attached to the kitchen counter and fold up. But either way, I wanted it to be the opposite orientation that it ended up being. Pardon me for my hand coming in front of the lens. So this is a very nice table for one person, and it's an acceptable table for two people, and it's a beautiful table. But I've wanted something different. And you can see what I'm working on. It's under that. The footprint of this direction that I'm pointing, where the new table is peeking out, this footprint is, I believe, 28 inches. And I wanted whatever table I had to stop before that step. Now, theoretically, of course, I could fold the table up every night. As a practical matter, for 6 years I've lived here, I've folded it up at night, a half dozen times. I want to be able to leave the table in position. So I'm not going to take this table off the wall. I'm just going to put it up, and I'm going to use a different table. And I'm going to pause this so I can put it up and not bump It's already weird that I'm videoing with my phone, and I don't want to bump while I do it. So hang tight. So now the table is up, and you can see the new table that I've acquired. Now, that table obviously is too low. It is 5 inches lower than the drop-down table sits. That's good and bad. It's good because it can sit right there, and if I did decide to drop the table down, as you saw, I can still do that. It's bad because it's a little too low for eating. I've had it for 4 or 5 days now, and I can tell you it's too low for eating. Now, it is the width of it, this direction, is perfect. As you can see, it clears the step so it's not blocking that step. And there's a couple of inches available that if I did want to fold the chair table down for whatever reason, I can actually think of a couple reasons. I could move that table out to the floor and put it going in this direction and fold that down, and then I could actually seat 6 people. Now, the house is not really big enough to have 6 people to dinner and sit like that. but it's more versatile. And you'll see in just a minute when the table is opened up. So the table opens to, let me think, 34 inches. So this is a drop leaf, and this expanse is 15 inches, and this expanse is 10 inches. I think that's right. And the other expanse, the other leaf is 10 inches. Is that 34? 35. Okay, so it's 35. And so when it's open, it's 26 by 35. So that gives me enough room that 2 or 3 people could comfortably eat dinner, and you could have things on the table, serving dishes if you wanted to. That's really what my goal has been. I have had 3 people to dinner, and somebody ends up sitting on the steps with their plate in their lap. I do have a wooden folding table. They've used that. I'm working on getting my house in order. Right now it's messy, so I'm not going to show you. And it's messy because I'm doing a whole nother purge, which means my 21 inches of hanging clothes are going to be pared down even further. The little cubbies in the kitchen area under the refrigerator and the washing unit are going to be pared down even further. No, I'm not taking any artwork down, but I'm paring down my collateral belongings, I'm calling them. When you get all that stuff pared down and your counters are clear and your surfaces are clear, then people can come over, and even though your space is small, they don't feel overwhelmed. So anyway, I'm working on that, and when I get that done, as spring comes again to Northern California, I would like to entertain. The pandemic's over. I want to have people over again. So anyway, the controversy with this table, which I'll open for you in a minute, is how to make it taller. Couldn't put anything under it because it would protrude into the kitchen and I would trip on it. That would defeat the purpose of having a folded up table that's out of the way when you want it to be out of the way, but it needs to be at least 3 inches taller so people can comfortably sit at it. It's a little awkward because it's a gate leg table, and when it's unfolded, there's not a lot of room to scoot a chair under, but that doesn't pose a problem for the person that's sitting on the bench. And I'm fairly small, and I don't mind. I am probably going to get a slightly smaller chair. Again, that chair was my desk chair. In Kansas City, it's a little bigger than it needs to be for me, and the bench is big enough for a bigger person. So anyway, I'm going to pause this. I'm going to open the table and show you what it looks like fully open, and then I'm going to implement the ingenious solution that my friend Michelle Burke devised to make this table taller, and I hope it works. I don't know yet. I haven't even unpackaged it. There's the Amazon package. So I'm going to pause you again. So this is what it looks like fully opened. The drop-down table is 20 inches by, let me think about this, 36 inches. So you do the math as far as surface area, because I flunked college math, just saying. This table opened up is 26 by 35. Yeah, 21 by 36, 26 by 35. So the surface area, even though the table on the wall looks like it's a whole lot bigger, it's not really. And the difference in usability is the fact that this ends up giving you a surface area I guess it's because it's 26 as opposed to 20. It's just more usable. It also has a little drawer. Now you can see that the bench, that cushion is just hopeless. I actually paid somebody to make that cushion, and it's just hopeless, so I'm going to get rid of it. But anyway, when the bench drops down and the table is opened up like this, that person has plenty of room to eat. And they actually have plenty of room because the table is moved out into the kitchen. They have plenty of room for their legs. Now, I don't have a lot of gigantic friends, but maybe if you were particularly large, you would feel uncomfortable. The drop-down table slides out, and it slides out not quite that 20 inches. So, like, maybe it slides out to about 15 inches. So it's 6 in one, half a dozen the other. It's a tiny house. You don't have the amount of room you have in a dining room. So anyway, as you can see, I measured it. That's 3 inches between the surface of this new table and the rail of the slide out where the drawer slide is, and the drawer slide is 2 inches. So technically this table could be 4 inches taller and it would still fit under the drop-down table if I were to fold up this table and drop down the chair table. This table also is cherry, by the way. I bought this from a woman on Facebook Marketplace. She said it belonged to her aunt who was 96 when she died. The woman told me her mother, whose sister it had been, is 101 and still alive. She has a lot of furniture that belonged to her mother and her aunt, and she just doesn't need it all. She had this table, which I already have my cloth napkins in. She had this table listed for $60. I about had a heart attack when I saw it. I knew it was too low, but I figured I could figure something out. I found one like it online selling in an antique auction for $1,200. She found one online for $689. I don't know why she listed it for $60. I would have paid more, but she only wanted $60. I offered her more. She said, no, I listed it for $60. I'm selling it for $60. So I'm going to pause again and open the solution that my friend Michelle Burke has suggested. And then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to do it and come back and tell you if it worked or not. So essentially, I spent an inordinate amount of time trying to find some way to extend the legs higher without creating a tripping hazard. One of the problems was, well, first of all, one of the problems was I didn't want it to look terrible. And second of all, as you can see, maybe you can't see, the legs are only at the base a ½ inch in diameter. Let me see if I can get them into the light. Oh, it's their own shadow that's preventing them from being in light. Me and my shadow. So anyway, the base of the leg is a ½ inch, but because they're turned legs, there's I don't know what you call that on the turn right there that provides a little rim. Somebody who's a carpenter, please tell me what you call that feature. Maybe you can see it better over here. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so the bottom of the leg is a half an inch, but then there's a little carved piece that provides a stop. So Michelle's idea was, since I couldn't find a riser, let's see if I can show you. Ooh, what am I? There you go. Candlesticks. Ooh, they're made in China. Sorry about that. So these are brass candlesticks, little short ones, and they are 5/8 inch, the opening. So there are 8 of them. There are 8 legs. And this is poster putty right here. So we're going to use the poster putty to put in the base of the candlestick. So I'm going to deploy that and see if it works. And I sure hope it does. Okay, I'm just jumping in here to show you. So the base of this is 3 inches. This opening is 5/8 inches. So the idea is to put poster putty in here, put the leg of the table in here, and there are 8 legs. And then these will basically be risers, but I won't be destroying the table. So this was Michelle Burke's idea. I give her full credit for it. If it works, she's brilliant. If it doesn't work, well, it was a good idea. And there, in case your next question was, when the legs folded, are they going to bump each other? No, they're not. I measured. When the legs are folded, there is between the 2 middle legs, it's a gate leg, so they fold in together. Between the 2 middle legs, there's 2 inches, and that means, though, there's room for these. They will just touch, I think. So I'm going to stop recording. Before I do, I'm going to turn around. Let's see what's behind me. Yeah, somebody mentioned that they couldn't hear me. That's why I've ordered a Bluetooth mic. Just so you know, I don't make these YouTube channels for money. I don't make them to be popular. I'm not trying to increase my following. I basically started making these YouTube channels when I first moved out here to keep people back home in Kansas City informed about my life. I'm very happy that I have 500 followers, of whom I think there might be 100 that I don't know, maybe more. But I'm never going to make a video that's technically professional or edited or any of those things. I normally use my Canon, but it hasn't worked for a while, so I've been using my phone. I'd like to have a vlogging camera just because my Canon is not really, it doesn't have a flip viewer, so I can't watch while I video. But I apologize to everybody that wants them to be slick and professional looking. They're never going to be. So if that's your jam, you're on the wrong channel. If you just want to know about me and my tiny life, either because you know me personally or because there's something about my tiny life that inspires you, then you're in the right channel. So I'm going to put all these feet, we're calling them brass feet, mini brass feet, on this beautiful cherry table. And then when I get it done, I'll pop back on and tell you if it worked or it didn't work. And I will show you either way. I will say that the candlesticks are wrapped in about 8 pounds of bubble wrap. So it's going to take a while, but that won't impact you at all. So those of you who are familiar with my videos know that even when I tell you I'm not going to film anymore and just show you the end result, I always pop back in. So these are the candlesticks. This is 3 inches. I wasn't sure what the result was going to be because I didn't know this dimension, how big this is, but it's 2 inches. No, it's not right. Let me think about this. There are 3 inches tall, and this is half, not quite half, so this is about 1.5 inches. I actually measured this. And so I really want to get 2 inches out of this. I think I have 3 inches to play with. That 3 inch right there I have to play with. And so ideally I would get as much of the maybe half of this space filled. And what I'm doing, this is heavy-duty poster putty. So I'm going to put this inside there. And I don't think I'll need to put any on the interior wall, but if I need to, I will. The goal is to make it uniform so that the table will be level, and to give the 1/2 inch wide leg something to grip so they won't fall off. Obviously, I could have bought something. I found, actually, Michelle found these little metal risers that had a screw in them, or a plate that you screwed the leg to. But the diameter of that, and they were the thinnest ones we could find, the thinnest actual risers. But the plate on top of that riser was 1 inch or 1 1/4 inch in diameter, and the screw holes were here and here. And that leg is only 1/2 inch in diameter. I also don't really want to impair the antique value of the table. So by using something that's not permanent, I'm not impairing the antique value of the table. You know, if I die and my son wants to sell this table or use it as a side table, which is its intended purpose, I think you might call this an occasional table. And by that, and they called it an occasional table because you pulled it out on occasion to use it for your tea cups and your little cookie plates or whatever. That's why it opened, so it could be moved out and put next to the ladies when they were having their tea. Otherwise, it stayed folded up and next to the chair. So anyway, I don't want to drill in here, don't want to put anything that on it that would be permanent, and I also don't want to put anything that will look wildly tacky. This will be a conversation piece, but not wildly tacky. That's the goal. Now, I tried to find, after Michelle thought about the idea of a candle holder, which I was instantly found charming, I tried to find ones that were antique looking. I bought these on Amazon, and I think I paid $30 for 8. I tried to find ones that had more of a burnished finish. This is obviously actually antique, but I couldn't find any that were plain enough, narrow enough, and weren't really tall or modern looking. So we're going to see if it works, and keep your fingers crossed. Okay, so here's another little jump in. So I measured this at 1/2 inch. This in the description online said that this distance was 5/8 inch. That is completely not true. That is 1 inch. So as you can see, too big, but that's probably good. All is not lost. The plan will be to take the poster putty and wrap it, and I think that that will actually be better. And so I'll wrap, and then I'll cut, and then I'll put a piece of it in the base, and then I'll put it on. And I think by doing that, I might even, you can see where this decorative thing is. Well, I think it would go above that, but I think, yep, I think it's going to work. So I'll be able to push that onto the poster putty, and by having a piece inside, I'll be able to stabilize it. So what's going to happen is, which is what I hoped would happen, I'll be able to stop it there, and I'll get the 2 inches of height that I seek. So all is not lost, and I'm going to proceed. But you see what the goal is. Okay, bye for now. Okay, how cool is that? So what ended up happening was I took the poster putty off the leg, tore it in half, and just lined the inside of the candle holder with it. I did put a double square of it in the base. And so that's exactly what I was hoping for. And if anybody knows of a solution that would be better than the poster putty, not that it's bad, but I have no idea how long it will be sticky in there, whether it will just... The only thing I've ever done with poster putty is put up posters. And I haven't done that for probably, well, since my son was a teenager, and he's 32 now. So 15, 16 years. So I'm going to do the other 7, then I'm going to flip the table and see if I'm right that it's stable. And there you have it. I will show you, I think, the final solution. So I just can't resist a little 5 or 10 second. So this is what it looks like without the brass addition, and this is what it looks like with. I really think it's going to work. I discovered, so silly me, so these are for tapers, which I'm sure someone has already thought about. So they're not straight-sided inside, because the end of the candle would be a little smaller, and when I look at it, I can't really get it to focus. There is a hole in there. This part screws off. It didn't come with a pin. I know some candlesticks have a pin. These don't, and they didn't come with one. But you could theoretically, I think, take this off and put a thin nail through there, and then, of course, this has metal. The leg has metal, so that wouldn't work. But at any rate, the poster putty seems to be working. My only concern is that over time it will dry out, so I might, and then they would just fall off. I don't know if that's likely to happen or not, but I can't help but think it might. So this is, it's working as a method of adding in height to it, and they are definitely stable, and they're the same height, so it is going to work. But, and it doesn't look, in my mind, half bad, but I could be wrong about that. Feel free to leave a comment. So I'm going to do the other 4, and then I'm going to flip the table and see if I've added. I think I will end up having added close to 3 inches. So that's the goal. 3 inches was my goal, and we'll see if it works. Okay, there you have it. It worked. You can see the gap, this gap here, sorry about that, has shrunk from, gosh, I think it was 5 inches before, it's now 2 inches. I should have filmed this part of it, but I didn't. Flipping the table was a whole lot less fun than I anticipated because, of course, the brass feet, we're calling them, are not rigid. They do have a little play to them, not a lot, but a little. And if I weren't worried about destroying the antique value of the table, I would find a more permanent solution. But it works. And actually the legs are more stable when it's stationary than they were before, because now they have this 2-inch base as opposed to a 1/2-inch base. If I were a really low-life person, I would put strapping tape around there, like the kind of tape that has fiber in it, to make them completely rigid, or as rigid as they can be. But it's pretty darn functional. And I pulled my chair up to it. I definitely have 3 inches more clearance, and the table, while it's still not as high as the cherry table, the drop-down cherry table, it's definitely more comfortable for eating. I've got to say, Michelle Burke has had a lot of clever ideas in the couple years I've known her, and this was probably one of the most clever. So there you have it. Nothing wrong with my beautiful live edge drop down table, except that it's the wrong orientation and it's so narrow, or it is more narrow than this. So this is now 35 inches, and we already knew this was, you make that focus, this is 26 inches. So now I have 35 by 26 instead of 20 by 36. I don't think I really gained any square inches. As I said, I flunked math, so you're going to have to do that computation. But I've gained the orientation I wanted, and I've gained depth where people are actually sitting. I have a little chair right here, which is actually an antique sewing chair. So theoretically, someone could sit there, and someone could sit there, and someone could sit there at the bench. And everyone would have room for their placemat, their plate. Heck, I could even put a tablecloth on this if I wanted to, which I admit, in addition to cloth napkins and cloth placemats, I have cloth tablecloths. But I probably wouldn't, because this is enough distraction, because it's gate leg. These fold in, so you have a bar here and a bar on the other side, and then you're between the gate legs. So there's enough going on there without putting a tablecloth in the mix. And anyway, this has taken far too long, and the video is far too long, but it was a fun little project, and now I have to do the dishes, clean up the rubble of the unpacking, put away a bunch of rubble that's on the secretary, which I'm not going to embarrass myself by showing you, and get ready for bed. So, thanks for spending a few minutes of my tiny life with me. As you can see, if I hold the telephone camera at a better angle, I don't look quite so hideous. I've actually lost 16 pounds. I still have my Germanic jowl, I call it. But I've lost 16 pounds, and as I said, I'm cleaning up a bunch of rubble in my house, sorting through coats and jackets that my son brought me from Chicago to donate, and working really hard. But again, thanks for spending a few minutes of my tiny life with me, and I'll see you next time.